In today's episode, Stephanie asks, how do you define what makes a good quality content idea? Fundamentally, a good idea is one that provokes some kind of emotion, right? It makes you care about it. When you're creating it, it should provoke something. And then when you send it out to a beta tester, it should provoke something in them. For years, I've had what's called the 3L framework. When you're working on an idea, if it doesn't make you laugh, if you didn't learn something when you were building it, and if you don't love it so much that you're talking to your significant other or a friend who's not involved in the company or the industry, you just can't stop talking about it, you know you've got a good idea. You know you've got something that is exciting to you, it makes you happy, gets you engaged with it. And those are the same criteria as well from the reader's or the consumer's perspective, right? It should be educational, it should be entertaining possibly, and it should be engaging. Did you laugh? Does it provoke some kind of reaction? Did you learn something? If your content doesn't fulfill any of those criteria, it's not a good idea, right? On the other hand, if it fills at least one, there's some sharpening of the pencil you could do to make it better, to elevate it. But at least you've got that one. If you can get all three, you've got a piece of magic on your hands. And that is something that is very difficult to create without a lot of work. I was writing a piece of short fiction not too long ago, and in the first version of it, I had a beta reader read through it, and they're like, okay, that was good. I'm like, good isn't what I'm going after. Right? Good is, good isn't great, right? So I rewrote the ending for it, and I handed it back to this person. And I said, give it another read through. And they went back, oh my God, F you. Because there was a twist at the end of the story. And that's when I knew I had a great piece of content. It provoked such a strong emotional reaction in the person. They're like, F you. I'm like, that's the winner. I know that's something. There's a there. And when other people have read it, it's like, okay, yeah, that was the thing. You have to figure out which emotions you write well. Because it's not always going to be ones that are necessarily appropriate all the time. And it depends on your creative abilities, right? Some people can create humorous content really well, consistently all the time. Comedians do this all the time. And yes, they have misses, and they will take stuff out to like a small comedy club and test it out in a small crowd. And some stuff just bombs. But other stuff does really well, depending on the audience. You may not be able to do humor. It's not one of my capabilities to create consistently humorous material. You may be good at creating material that makes people sad. Right? There are any number of really good writers that can create angsty stories that are just heart-wrenching tales. That may be the emotion that you're good at. You could be somebody, and you have to use this power judiciously. You could be somebody who's really good at making people angry, intentionally, by design, writing content that makes people angry. If you're that kind of person, there are a number of political campaigns that would like your help. And there's again, one of the basic core emotions. You may be good at making people afraid. Again, a lot of marketers do this not well either. Microsoft for years was known as the company of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, being able to create content that created those emotions in people and made them purchase Microsoft products as the safe haven. As a safe haven from all these crazy new things that they would say could ruin your company. It rarely ever did. But they were really good at that writing style. So when you're creating content, figure out what emotions you're really good at writing. And there's a number of tools out there. Some like IBM Watson has Watson Tone Analyzer and Watson Personality Insights. But Tone Analyzer is the one that will can take a piece of text and tell you what emotions appear in the language. And it centers around, what is it? Anger, fear, sadness, anticipation, joy. Oh gosh, I'm missing two. But there's 8 emotional directions or vectors that it measures your text on. Take some of the content that you've written in the past, your best pieces that you feel were the best or that performed the best, feed it into a service like Watson Tone Analyzer. There's a free demo you can try, and see what emotions you're really good at writing. Even if it's not necessarily ones you think that you're good at writing, if they've performed well, you have the objective measurement, they've performed well, and the software says, hey, you're really good at writing joyful pieces. Great. You know that, and then you can double down on that and work on improving the language that you use to bring out even more of that. So what makes good quality content is emotions, provoking them, eliciting them from people. And the most important thing you can do is to figure out which emotions you're good at writing. The challenge you may run into is that what you're good at is what your company is not aligned with their brand, right? If you're really good at writing content that engages fear, and your company is like a yoga company, right? There could be a bit of a mismatch. And in those situations, you have to figure out how do you write in such a way, and maybe you partner with somebody else on your team if there's someone else available that can write in those other styles. Again, using the tools like Watson Tone Analyzer, you may be able to analyze pieces that other folks on your team have written or in your company, and see what are the companion emotions that you could team up with somebody else and collaborate and create content that strikes a good balance between those two emotions. It's they're not negative, but they're associated with being negative. Emotions like anger and fear are good as part of a piece of content, because in your standard marketing copy, you're looking at state the problem, what the impact of the problem is, what the solution is, and then how your company fulfills that solution. That fear and anger writing goes in the problem and impact, right? This is the problem. This is what happens if you don't solve the problem. And if the writing that someone, a joyful person would be like, I don't know how to express this in the impact in a compelling way. Like, if you don't solve this problem, things are okay. And that won't sell anything. That's where you, as the writer who's like, and these terrible things will happen, and you'll lose your job, and someone will come and take your dog away. That will allow you to use those skills there, and then you have your colleague who can write in the emotional release of the solution in the second half of the content. You'll have to work on making a unified voice, but knowing the emotions you're good at and then figuring out how to artfully weave them into pieces of content is important. So again, questions, leave them in the comments box below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.